In order to become bigger and stronger and create more glory, Pakistani small workshops can already produce high-power motors. It is not that imported motors are unaffordable, but that self-produced motors are more cost-effective. The motor housing needs to be made using traditional sand casting technology. These irons are then in the workshop. This professional production of motors is a practice that our molds and sandbox housings are customized in batches. The whole process is relatively easy to progress. Generally, the length of service exceeds in order to improve the overall processing efficiency. Each process is carried out in an orderly manner. After the batch of sandboxes are made, the masters on the other side can use the glue cylinder to slowly pour the melted iron into the sandbox. The whole production process is still very fast. Due to the limited production conditions of this small workshop, these sandboxes that have just been glued only need to wait for more than 10 minutes. We have to take the motor housing out of the sandbox first. Although it has a certain degree of danger, it is like this. After the motor housing that has been naturally cooled has undergone the last step of the sand dropping process, it can be processed to relieve. During this process, the masters will use a special chuck mold to mark the outer shell and then use a drill press to open a fixed hole in order to smoothly install the iron core inside. The first process requires the use of a lathe to carefully process the inside. There's small practice of professionally producing motors. The processing master will go through a series of head-shaking operations, and the processing process progresses quite quickly. After the internal iron core is installed in place with the assistance of a hydraulic press, the masters can then install the insulation value inside. The other side of the negative coil can be skillfully installed on the iron core. This process is more of a test of skills and techniques. If the operation is not skilled, it may cause the coil to short circuit. Therefore, the master is very cautious in all steps during installation. The insulation work between the coils is also very good. In order to prevent the coil from loosening, the meticulous master will wrap it with cotton thread and then pour a pot of insulating paint. After the motor coil is assembled, the masters are processing the side covers on both sides of the motor. The motor they produced this time needs to be equipped with a water pump. With these connection methods, the fixing holes need to be accurately processed on the bars. After all the accessories are processed, the masters can quickly install them. The rotor in the middle of the machine is also installed very quickly. The pump impeller and the outer volute are very simple to assemble. The masters only need to tighten all the bolts. After a motor is assembled by them, they have finally completed the assembly. In order to test the operation of the motor and the water pump, they also need to conduct quality inspection tests. You can see the motor that has been tested correctly. Then the masters only need to spray a layer of anti-rust oil on it. After watching the entire process of motor production, what do you think of their production process? If there are 10 points, how many points are you willing to give?